Adventure Academia: The Fractured Continent is PQube's latest release onto the Nintendo Switch. This strategy game is trying to marry some interesting mechanics that you don't often see together, like turn-based and real-time combat at all, and for once I would like at least to applaud the developers in their endeavor. The story is something that you'll either completely ignore, because the gameplay is ultimately the reason why I think most people will be picking up this game, or something that you'll simply have to deal with at some point or another. Simply put, Alex, the main protagonist, has some unknown powers thrusted upon him, and he's tasked with rescuing the principal of the school, who also happens to be his dad. While attempting said rescue, he's granted the power to summon schoolmates to his side and help him explore the dungeons and save the kingdom in the process. Admittedly, this is all very C-tier anime-ish, and for what it's worth, it doesn't get in the way of the real meat and potatoes of the game. Gameplay is mission-based, where you're given the task to take down a target in any of the grid tile-based maps, and as you progress in the usual linear fashion to get to your target, many new enemies will spawn to dispose of. While it is a strategy game at heart, it feels more like a combat manager. First off, Alex, the main protagonist, doesn't have the option to attack nor defend. He is an anchor in which you'll be summoning your teammates from. There's a certain grid distance from which you can drop allying units into the field to either fend off enemies or to defend you. All of your units, and by extension classmates, will attack on their own. You do have the choice to pick them up and drop them off somewhere else on the map, obviously within the vicinity of Alex, but that's about it. As enemies move, your allies will get to move. It's very reminiscent to the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series in that regard, albeit with less one-line corridors and not so many limitations. At the top right, you'll have a timer to reach your goal, and on the lower left side you have some MP to keep track of, as well as your HP. Each one of the units will gradually level up and gain powers as they dispose of enemies, and they will also get to reset pretty much at the end of the map as it's also cleared, so they do not get to keep their levels or any powered ups gained in that specific map. Each one of your teammates falls into the category of archetypes like healers, tanks, support, range, melee based, and basically all of their races have some sort of modifiers that can be tuned to their level, but that's about it. The further you get into the game, the more classmates and more classes will get to join your ranks, so you do have the freedom to mess around with forming a new team to of course get to the target units faster. It is an interesting gameplay system that for what it's worth is new in its own way, and does have some shortcomings where you don't directly control the units that they attack, but simply influence them. Some of the units will clearly be stronger than others, so getting those to a higher level onto the map is pretty much the key to victory. Performance on the Nintendo Switch is relatively good. There's very little in the sense of performance dips or even hard crashes or even bugs to report on. The entirety of my playtime was spent on the Nintendo Switch Lite, and the text was big enough to not ever be a problem. I would also like to thank PQube for providing me the footage you're seeing today. Adventure Academia: The Fractured Continent is unapologetic in two things: a somewhat flimsy story and unique gameplay. As long as the game does provide me one of the two, it'll always be something worth playing, and truly the gameplay here, while simplistic in nature, does have some interesting ideas that in the future entry they could potentially fledge out even more. Nintendo Sphere gives Adventure Academia: The Fractured Continent on the Nintendo Switch a 7 out of 10. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!